This week we're talking about what to do, how to grow if you're a warrior archetype, or what to do in general when you feel yourself beating your head against the wall. Welcome back, guys. This week we're talking about the warrior archetype. You see it in our entire series on archetypes. Finally, somebody is talking about archetypes in a way that is actually helpful. Not vague advice, not vague attributes of each archetype, but really specific, nailed down to how our emotions work. There's a lot of videos on YouTube, a lot of articles about archetypes, but they're not really helpful until we can nail down what we need to do to grow, how we need to individuate each archetype on a decision by decision basis. And we don't get that until we figure out how our emotions work, what their purpose is, and the three overall decisions that we can make with each emotion. But like I said, this week we're talking about the warrior archetype, going off the king, warrior, magician, lover way of thinking about these. We have compassion up here. We have confidence down here. Analytical, creative, intuitive, principled. This is more associated with the intellect. This is decisions based on experience. And once we diagram out this way, once we see what the X and Y axes are, our emotion axis, our decision-making axis, then it's much easier to see, okay, I'm a warrior archetype. What do I need to do? I need to individuate. So I'm going to have to incorporate the lover archetype. I'm going to need to create, or not create, but to make more intuitive, experiential decisions. Probably need to stop reading so many books. Probably need to stop coming up with principles by which to live my life, but get more experience, talk to people, and do it in a way that manages anger more than anxiety. Managing anger, of course, fills up your compassion. But first, how do you even know if you are a warrior archetype? Well, like last week with the king archetype, we have some light and dark attributes of the warrior archetype. We have conscious, more unconscious, and if we want to add a z-axis to this, which I feel more confident doing, because I think it looked pretty good last week, we can do that. This coming out is conscious, going in as indicated by the dotted line is unconscious. Of course, where we want to be is still right at the center. Being all conscious isn't good in this respect, because what that would mean is you're not in touch with your unconscious. What it means to be right at the border of your consciousness and unconsciousness is to be, there's the line of what you're capable of doing, and it's about just stepping over that line. As we talked about a couple weeks ago on the Animus Era podcast, when was the first instance of Psyche showing up in the Western canon? It's when Achilles is charging into battle in the Iliad. That's when the Psyche comes up. He gets in touch with his psyche, his spirit at that point, because it's just like right over the edge of what he's comfortable doing. And that's when he's right about here, right at the center of the individuation of the cross in the west, of the mandala in the east. Got off track though. So what are some light attributes of the warrior? What are some good sides of the warrior? You're very directed, very focused. You like challenges. You can focus exactly on what you want to focus on. So you're really good at getting things done. Another good part of the warrior is you're great at ignoring. You're great at ignoring things that are extraneous, that aren't going to be helpful to you. So you just forget about it. But of course, this is going to come up in the dark attribute of the warrior archetype. You're going to start ignoring things that are going to be more helpful. Ignoring things that are less than helpful overgeneralizes to ignoring what is maybe more helpful. Since you're a warrior, you're better at managing an anxiety, so you're worse at managing your anger. So you're going to find yourself in hostility, making more unconscious decisions with your anger. not managing your anger in an appropriate way. And with hostility, we get, of course, depressive disorders. Find yourself beating your head against the wall. Very, like we say, left brain. Although I really don't like that terminology, but that may be how that may be a good way to communicate it. But what I ultimately mean by left brain is you are very focused on principles, on what you need to do, without taking into account experience, without factoring in intuition. Is this going to be a good situation for me? So you're going to find yourself beating your head against the wall. If you're an unconscious warrior, you'll be a drone. You'll be, 5-10 years will go by in your life, and you're so good at ignoring things that you should ignore. You start to ignore things that maybe you shouldn't ignore, things that were there to wake you up, in a sense. Women, right? You ignore the women in your life who are there to wake you up and to prod you and say, hey, let's do this, let's do that. No, I'm doing my thing here. I'm directed. And then you become isolated. And some other archetypes that you've probably heard that are at least somewhat associated with the warrior archetype. Well, last week, what did we say? What's partial king, partial warrior? There's a ruler in here. And I would say the challenger archetype, the challenger, the reformer is probably in here. Also the creator and the destroyer. So the creator would be the more conscious aspect of the destroyer, or the destroyer, the more unconscious aspect. So how would I write in creator? This would be here. And then the destroyer would be more back here. I don't know. No, it'd be more back here, but now this is getting confusing. Probably drawing that in wasn't that helpful. The creator is the more conscious aspect, the destroyer the more unconscious aspect of the warrior archetype. So what's the way out of this? If you're here, so you find yourself here and you have to get to here to individuate, well, it's going to involve incorporating the lover. You're going to need more experience. You're going to need to talk to people. A lot of what this looks like, a lot of growth, a lot of individuation for the warrior archetype is surrounding himself with other people. He's very directed, very focused on what he's doing. Oh, also another great, I forgot to say, attribute of the warrior is you're honest. You can just be brutally honest when you need to. That goes into the challenger, that goes into the reformer archetype, which is really helpful. But when you're brutally honest, when you put more emphasis on honesty than you do relationships, which is fine to do. Totally fine to do that. But when you do that too often, you begin to ignore important situations and you will cut yourself off from people. So to grow, if you're a warrior, you integrate so you just integrate, you get more people in your life, you get more experience. Stop reading so many books. Stop making to-do lists. Go talk with people. Go meet people. Get a mentor, get people to help you. If you have a business, maybe get people to help out. Get insights from different perspectives. Maybe give yourself some downtime. You want to wake up, you want to get right at work. Maybe give yourself some meditation, downtime, coffee, and contemplation. And that's going to be a way to integrate the lover. The warrior, we're often annoyed a little bit by the opposite archetype. So the king's going to be most annoyed by the magician, by more the performer, the entertainer archetype, and the warrior is going to be most annoyed by the lover, which may be some indication that I am myself am more of a warrior, because growing up watching the Ninja Turtles, I always thought Raphael was just annoying. What's the point of Raphael? But of course, this opposite archetype is the one that we need. Another indication that I may in fact be a warrior archetype is art museums. Love going to art museums. They annoy me to some extent. Well, the people there annoy me to a much greater extent, but I love doing it. And this is more in the lover archetype. That's an integration. Taking time off, not being so focused on what I need to do in my to-do list. And hey, let's go get experience. Let's go contemplate what is going on with existence, with humanity, at an art museum. But that's going to be it. These are the attributes of the warrior if you are more one. And what you need to do to get out of the warrior, to individuate, to become more of a lover, is to surround yourself with people, get more experience. Oh, and also just, self-care. That's going to be really good for a warrior. So, if you have a lot of underwear in your underwear drawer that has a bunch of holes in it, you're not throwing it away because, whatever, it's fine, I can still use it, then yeah, you're probably more of a warrior archetype. Time to take some time, take care of yourself, eat better. You find a lot of overeating, a lot of overindulgences, because what are you doing? You're trying to compensate for the fact that maybe you don't handle your anger as well. That's not all of it, but we'll come back to this. That's the warrior archetype. Please like and subscribe. Let me know how this relates with you. Let me know where you are on the mandala, the cross of archetypal individuation. And always remember that if you're a warrior archetype, you're going to have to find yourself doing something that you find really annoying if you're going to want to grow.